Hey guys, welcome. So today is our second episode. Uh, Last time we spoke about communication, and today we're actually going to be speaking about dating. So Trey and I have some interesting experience in the dating scene. Trey is actually a dating coach. I've worked as a dating coach before, minimally. Trey has a lot more experience doing that. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation between both of us. We have a little bit of a different philosophy, but still very similar, right? Where um, we'll be able to flow with it and give some pretty good advice like that we've used in our own dating life. And I think some things that are overlooked in the dating scene, especially now today. So without further ado, Trey, if you would like to talk a little bit about your experience with dating and how you became a dating coach, I think that would actually be pretty cool.
All right. So my experience with dating. It started as early as middle school. And in middle school, what I remember is I remember attempting to holla at a girl, like, make a move on a girl. Um, but I was afraid to do it. So I remember like sharing with a friend, like, oh yeah, I think this girl is cute, man. I think I might, holla at her, but I don't know. And
Mm,
I'm thinking he's just gonna keep it to himself. And he goes and he tells her. And the girl basically was not fucking with it. Like she didn't reciprocate my interest. And this big rumor went around the school and everyone's like, oh yeah, she doesn't like you, blah, blah, blah. And basically ever since then, I remember just being afraid to make moves on girls because of that.
mm,
That experience. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. A lot of guys can relate to trying to get at a girl and it not working out, and then you kind of like not being as expressive or as confident or as bold when it comes to making a move.
mm,
Um, and then that vibe kind of went into high school. I remember in high school also being afraid to make a move. Um, and I had some girls come my way and I would sabotage it by just being afraid, oh, what if I fuck up again? And then once I got out of high school, that's when I was like, okay, I need to handle this shit. Started doing cold approach. And then I started, gaining my confidence back, owning my masculinity. I started going on some dates. And I saw that really, if you just put yourself out there and express yourself, you're gonna find some women that are interested in you, and you can start, dating and have your experiences, and you'll learn, what is attractive, what is not, through trial and error. And over time I started to, quote unquote get good at it, meaning like be able to get dates consistently.
mm,
Um, and once I was able to do that, I started, helping the guys around me, my friends, and then I started teaching it, like teaching how a man can improve his dating life.
mm,
So, so yeah, there's a lot of hope for any man that is willing to put himself out there and learn about himself and learn about women, and he can create an abundant dating life from zero. It's possible.
mm. Whew. So I actually have a similar story to that childhood experience I can relate to.
Mhm.
Um, I remember, I think I was in like fourth grade or fifth grade. I, th- I think I was in fifth grade. So I remember there was a girl that I really liked. She was in seventh grade, so she was like a little bit older than me. And this time of my life, I was actually living in the U.S. Um, so it was a different culture than what I was used to. Before that, I lived in a different country. Um, But it was interesting because I think I had told someone that I liked a girl, and then basically like all my classmates and whatever, they like got me into a room with her and like, yeah, ask her out, like And so I asked out this seventh grader at, while I was in fifth grade, and I was very young, but it was an interesting experience. She never said no, but I think she got embarrassed. Obviously, like everyone was kind of like, I don't think they were doing it in like they were kind of joking about it a little bit. So I think it wasn't something that was like a good experience necessarily. But eventually, I kind of let it go. I kind of see it as an experience of growth that helped me along because I just realized like, oh, that's just what happens with women. Later on, like I just like or um is like you're gonna risk social tension, right? Or not looking good in front of other people if you're gonna like go and get rejected. Like I kind of realized that unconsciously, I think, and I just realized, okay, that's somewhat part of the game. Uh, but I don't know. I think it was around like when I was maybe like 13, 14 that I started realizing like I actually had naturally, girls that were attracted to me, and I don't know how exactly, but I was just able to make moves like very naturally. I mean, I think every guy is if the experiences they have when they're younger don't stop them, or their parents or childhood experiences stuff like that doesn't stop them. I think naturally just attraction happens, right? I like that you said though that you worked on your masculinity, because I think you told me like back then you were basically like a nice guy, right? Which is interesting because right now, like I see in my mind, you're like the complete opposite of a nice guy. So it's interesting. But I've seen some pictures from you back then, and yeah, like I could tell for sure it's like a very crazy transformation. That's why I'll give you like props, you know, because like 360 for me, I definitely was a nice guy, and I still have some traits every now and then. Like I still catch myself every now and then, very minimally. But yeah, for me, I don't think it was that big of a shift. So that's what I appreciate about where you were and where you are now. I kind of wanted to go into modern dating. What does that look like? Um, hmm. But I kind of I was thinking of talking maybe a little bit more about how you think someone's childhood and upbringing can affect their dating life. What do you think? Would you be down to talk about that first?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, sweet.
So yeah, so how does one's childhood affect their dating life? That's
Mhm.
it.
Like you've worked with a lot of people. How much of it do you think is? I mean, in my opinion, I think a lot of it is subconscious.
Mhm.
A lot of dating is subconscious. Like if you consciously do something with dating and you don't um, fix any unconscious resistance or whatever it is, like trauma or whatever it is around women, then I think you're just pushing and that energy comes across. And I just don't, I think like, even if you do get a woman, you know, uh, there will be like problems in that relationship. So I'm just kind of curious, how have you seen people's childhood affect their dating life if they opened up about it or
Yeah, so um let's put it this way. The guys who had the healthiest childhoods, they have less issues when it comes to dating. They're easier to coach. Like I tell them, hey, do this, they'll do it, you know.
Mhm.
Guys who had the more unhealthier childhoods and not so good relationships with their mother, their father, or the people around them, they have a much harder time applying, what I teach them
Mm.
because they have subconscious blocks and um, limiting beliefs and these deep messages that they received um, f- during childhood that is hard to override.
Mm.
Um, and I would say a huge thing to look at is your relationship with your mom, right? Because that is your first relationship with a woman, right?
Mm.
And it's a very deep relationship, and this it carries on into every relationship you have with other women. So you have to look at that. So if, for example, if you have resentment for your mom, or your mom, you know, didn't show you unconditional love, your mom didn't uh I don't know, maybe she made you feel like you weren't good enough. Like if there's some unhealthy relationship you have with your mom, you have to face that. You have to deal with that because you're gonna see women like that,
Mm.
right? Whether you're aware of it or not, like it's happening subconsciously, right? So there's like a past client that's coming to mind who he had a very hard time with just like approaching women, which is the first step. Like he would talk about, yeah, I want to get sex, I want this and I want that, but he couldn't even approach the woman. And a huge part of it was because his mother in the past told him, like negative things about himself. So now when he sees a woman, that's what he's seeing. So how are you gonna approach the woman if you have this deep belief that she's gonna say something negative to you, or she has a negative uh
Mm.
perspective? She's seeing you in a negative light on a
Mm.
deep level. If that's what's happening, you're not going to be able to approach shit, right? So yeah, it's huge. Like you can, like for example, I could pump him up and say, oh yeah, come on, you can do it, you can do it, but then when I'm gone, it's like he's not going to be able to do it. So you have to face your relationship with your mom, and you're going to have to forgive her. Like if I just had to simplify it, you're going to have to forgive your mom, you're going to have to forgive your dad. Anyone who's done you wrong in the past, if I had to like simplify, like one of the things you're gonna have to do to overcome your past trauma is you're gonna have to forgive them. And what you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself. You have to free your soul. If you do not forgive them, you're always gonna hold on to the things they said to you, the things they did to you, and you're never gonna be able to overcome the challenges in your dating life. So yeah, to answer your question,
Mhm.
past trauma in your childhood plays a huge part in your dating life. And if you're struggling in your dating life, you should look at that. You should look at your childhood. You should look at your relationship with your mom and dad and see how you can improve that.
Mm. Yeah, I like that you mentioned forgiveness.
Mhm.
Uh, I think for me, I can relate to that a lot. Like I feel till now, still hold a little bit of resentment. I'm human, and I'm working through it, but I've gotten a lot better with it. And just the progression of getting better with it, I think, can shift your dating life and your life in general so much, right? I also think it's like it's a natural process that shouldn't be forced, but it's still very, very necessary, right? So the conscious awareness that forgiveness can, help your dating life and things like that, I think that is a big step, you know. But if you don't even think about it at all, then you're not going to be able to let go of it at all, right? It's just unconsciously running you. So, hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate that example. I look at it basically the same way. I look at it as the um, the subconscious blocks. Most of them you get from your childhood, right? Sometimes when you're a little bit older, I think maybe some experiences, if it's like strong enough, can they can either take those past wounds and make them even bigger, right? If you don't know how to process it or you're not conscious about it, right? Or you can create new ones depending on how strong the experience is. But I think either way, just being conscious of that and realizing that experiences don't define you, right? It's actually how you relate to them that creates the reality that you want to live. right? So for me, I actually grew up, I grew up Middle Eastern. My dad was pretty strict. My mom's American, but she's still um, she was actually pretty open. You know, I think that was a good side. She's still part of the Muslim culture, so both my parents are Muslim. Um, but I would say um, overall, I did have like a lot of shame or fear when it came to women. So I would still meet women sometimes. I'd figure out a way to talk to them, shit like that. But I remember I was always like afraid of like my dad finding out. And so I think that created like a whole thing of like even maybe some resistance to approaching a little bit. Just my dad kept on coming up every time I approached. Like I'd feel this guilt of like, this is wrong. Like my religious upbringing as well from my dad's side. It was always this idea that I shouldn't want to have sex. I should be focusing on my spirituality. Versus seeing sex and dating as just a natural part of life. It's you're a man. You know, Naturally you're gonna want to be with a woman, and you're not supposed to be resisting that. So it took me a while, I think, going into my childhood and not only different experiences with women, but just the programming and upbringing from like my religious background, which I think you also had some of that too, right? So I remember when we first met, we were talking about that a lot, and it really does affect you, right? So it can literally be anything. It's like religious programming, experiences with your mom is super important as well. I think you said experiences with your dad as well, which I think how your dad relates to women is important, right? Because if your dad's a nice guy, then you may end up being the complete opposite because you're like, fuck, I don't want to be like my dad. Or, you might pick up some bad habits of like how to be around women. It's like, okay, well, you got to do this, or maybe you'll build a belief that, man, if you're nice to women, they don't appreciate it or whatever it is. Like, there's a lot of different bullshit things you can pick up from just like watching your parents' relationship if it's not a healthy relationship, right? And I think you have to consciously go in. Most people, they kind of they don't want to do that inner work. I think I've noticed there's a strong resistance to that, right? So people have to get comfortable with being able to go inwardly and say, hey, I might not know how to deal with this problem, but if I'm at least consciously going inwardly and dealing with it, I think if it's something very serious, maybe someone can get some help with someone else, if they find it tough, like they can do meditation, shit like that. Like I remember I went through some fucking dark fucking emotions around certain things. So it's not easy, right? If you feel like you need someone else to help you out or something, then that's fine too. But just deal with it, right? Because your quality of life goes up so much more when you're just aware and you just choose to look at things differently, in a better light. Hmm. Is there anything you wanted to add on, or
No, I think what I said was the main foundation for dealing with your past trauma, and I think you added some great things. Yeah, the religion thing is a huge one, because there's a lot of rules and regulations within religion, depending on what religion it is, that can prevent you from like being able to express yourself to a woman and connect with a woman, and connect to your sexuality and your masculine. Like there's a lot of rules that can make that challenging, right? Your self-expression challenging, because you're like, am I doing it right, or I'm doing this wrong? Am I going to go to hell? Am I this? So you're not present in your body. You're in your head trying to figure shit out. So yeah, you're gonna have to just face, like, if you're struggling in your dating life, you have to realize that it's what's happened in your past that you're holding on to that's blocking you from just being free and present. Because I think if somebody's free and present and just like okay with themselves and their life, and then they go talk to the opposite sex, I think they'll do okay with dating, actually. But if you're holding on to a lot of like negative experiences from your past, people saying shit to you that was negative, that you're holding on to and that you're taking as real, man, you're gonna have a tough time. So you have to free yourself, and techniques and like learning lines and stuff like that, that is not going to solve the problem at the root. It's just going to be like putting a band-aid on a broken leg or something, you know? So yeah, you have to face your trauma. There's no way around it. Even if you try, it's like you can run, but you cannot hide. So you could try to run away from it, but it's just going to be following you for the rest of your life.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. Yeah, I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and I was telling him, I'm like, man, if you don't work on your subconscious mind when it comes to women, then whenever you approach women, uh, you're gonna unconsciously reject yourself, and all these things are gonna come up, and you're not even gonna know it. And he was like, man, I don't believe that, But what was funny was I could literally see it, right? Like, we would go and we would approach, and he had like this resistance to approaching things like that. So I also find that interesting. Ooh, I think ego, right? How much do you think ego affects someone when it comes to like improving their dating life? I know I'm going off script, but fuck it, because I think this is actually a really good topic. Because I feel like, man, even for myself, I gotta say, like, if if I was able to admit certain things a little bit earlier, would have helped me. Again, you can't really force it. I don't really look at like, I gotta admit, I gotta do this, right? It's just more of like, if you're just aware that maybe your ego is getting in the way, just being aware of that, I think naturally starts to dissolve that. And you just gotta be patient with yourself. But yeah, how have you seen like people's ego, and how that can affect them?
Yeah, so how would you define ego?
Good question. I kind of look at it as like someone who isn't hmm the best word I would use is prideful, right? It's like they know better. They might not have, this is the thing, is like someone who doesn't have results to show, and they're not willing to listen to someone who does. Um like I would kind of see that a little bit as like ego, like they know better, right? Someone who um ba- ba- I mean, basically it's like a resistance to listening to anybody talk about the subject, right? Even if they're not getting progress in that area, right? That's how I would look at it in this context.
Mhm. Yeah, so I agree. It's like you're attached to an identity, whether it's serving you or not.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a huge problem with um having an ego when it comes to improving or changing your life. Because yeah, if you're attached to an identity, then anything that goes against that identity, you're gonna fight it. You're gonna resist it, right? So even if that identity is saying I'm a loser, right? If you're attached to that identity, anything that could change that identity, you're gonna resist it. So if somebody says, hey, go approach that girl, you may not approach her, and it may be because of a fear of success. Because you're like, my identity says I don't get no girls. So what if I approach her and I get her? And you're not thinking that consciously, but that's what's happening subconsciously. And that's why it's good to have get like a coach or someone who has went through certain shits, because they can see things that you just can't see. Because when you're in your ego, it's like you're in a box, so you can only see what's in that box, right?
Mm.
So yeah, if you are an egotistical person or someone who really identifies with their ego, you're going to just do things that reinforce that ego. So you're going to do things that keep you in that same reality that ego exists in. So basically what I'm saying here is the only way to improve your life or improve your dating life or change your condition is you would have to kill your ego, right? Or you would have to stop attaching to it, right? Because I think having some form of an ego is, I don't necessarily think it's bad. It's just when you're attached to it is the problem, because then you can't move, you can't expand, you can't grow, you can't change, you can't. You're basically closed off from possibility, right? So one of the things that's important, like that I noticed when I look at my past clients, like the ones who were the most, there are some that were really successful and then there were some that weren't, right?
Mm.
The ones who had the biggest egos and were the most attached to their ego, those did not do well when it came to me like trying to help them, right? Like I would coach them, I would say, hey, do this, do that, but then they would fight what I'm saying because their ego goes against what I'm saying. Like if I say, hey man, you need to start like meditating, right? Because you're thinking too much and you're too emotional, and they may say, oh, I don't need to meditate, like that's weird. Or and the thing is, I used to be like that too. So it's not, I don't really judge it. I'm just like, I just try to be patient with them, because I remember at one point I was like, why the hell would I meditate? Even one time I was like, why do I need to approach women like I don't see other guys doing it, you know? So there's, the ego will keep you in your hell basically.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the qualities of someone who is successful in life and successful with dating and good at changing their life is they're able to let go of their ego, right? Because if you can't let go of your ego, you're just going to keep reinforcing your ego and reinforcing the same reality, the same condition, the same, you're just going to repeat the same pattern of life. So yeah, so basically, the ego plays a huge part in whether or not you're going to improve your dating life or not. Because if you hold on to your ego, your dating life's going to stay the same. I can pretty much guarantee that. But if you let go of your ego, you open yourself up to possibility. That means your dating life can literally do a 180. It could go in a direction you never thought possible. Or maybe you just start getting a little bit of results, but you can change once you say, you know what? I'm not my ego, which means I'm not my past, right? Because your ego is based on your past, right? So I'm not my ego, I'm not my past, and I can expand, I can grow, I can evolve, I can change, but I have to be present, and I have to be open to a new future. And I have to leave the past in the past.
Yeah, a lot easier said than done, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. I've worked with clients. I've had, that was the biggest problem I think that came up for clients. I think you have to be ready for that. Depending on the client you're working with, and I don't want to say there are some people that can't be helped, but it's like sometimes you have to pick and choose the people to work with, because some people, they'll say consciously they might really want to change their life, but in my opinion they don't want it bad enough if they're not willing to confront their ego or to try something new, right? So I've had like clients that I've been like, hey, do this, try this, and then they won't do anything, and then they'll complain to me about why they're not changing. And I'm like, okay, did you try this? And they're like, no, I know, I got it. I know. So it's interesting. I think also I'm 23, so I've worked with clients that are older than me, that are like some of them like in their 40s, right? Worked with someone who was like 50 something, which is interesting. And I'm not gonna say that I have all the experience in the world. Like, I know I'm still young, but I do have some good insight just being around other older people who have been successful in the dating scene. And I think that's what's given me more experience at my age and actually seeing certain things. And I think that's where my value comes from when it comes to being able to help out, older guys in that scene, and also younger guys, because obviously I'm the younger guy. Um, but I have managed to help some people that are older, even though I can't relate to them like age wise, because the principles of dating I think are the same, or attraction are the same, right? But it's interesting because what I'll notice with older people is they'll kind of have this idea of like, I know better, I'm older, and it's like, well, if you knew better and you were older, then you would be successful at dating, right? So it's not that I can't respect that maybe their age has given them some wisdom, but age doesn't always come with wisdom. And I think that's been my experience. Is like, I'll find out with people that are older than me. That's what I would get, is like that kind of response, even if it's unconscious, of like, maybe that because they're older, it kind of gives them this idea that they might know better, or in some sense, kind of like, oh, I don't know, dot dot dot. So it's interesting. I think age is one thing. Don't ever take into account that you're wise. You don't have to be like, I'm wise to be wise. I think it's just naturally something that flows. And I think wisdom is being able to actually genuinely listen and be like, does this apply to me? And you can be 23 or you can be 50. It doesn't really matter. Right. So I think that approach to life, makes a big difference. So, yeah, no, ego is one of the biggest things when it comes to like people improving their dating life, right? You cannot change at all unless you change that. I'm gonna mention this because I think it's important. I like what Alan Watts says. He says ego is an illusion, right? Trying to get rid of your ego is ego, right? Which is pretty funny. So you kind of have to look at it as, we're talking about ego, but don't take it as a concept. Take it more as like the present moment. Whenever resistance comes up, or thinking better, just ask yourself, am I being present um, right now and actually taking in what's happening, or am I trying to hold on to my past? You know, So I would just say that I think that's important to take in. You know. So cool. Let's get started. I'm fucking excited about this question. What does modern dating look like today? Right? Because we can talk about dating overall. We can go back to the caveman times, and we could talk about how how attraction was back then, but it's not going to be relevant. So, in our experience, what would modern dating look like today, with like the phones and with everything like that? So, Trey, if you would like to talk about that first.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I'm gonna answer it based on what I hear from clients and guys I talk to, because I think my experience with dating is different than what the average person is experiencing. But basically, what I hear is it's hard to find like a woman that wants to settle down. Um, there's a lot of uh I guess like the bad bitches, like most of them, like they're just on OnlyFans and and making money. So they're kind of like, it's almost like they don't really need men, because they're making their own money. All they gotta do is show their bodies and stuff like that. And so the average man is I guess, having a harder time getting women's attention or keeping them attracted, because the woman, like there was a, like back in the day, it was like a man just needed to, be making some decent money, have his shit together, be a decent guy, and she's like, oh yeah, this guy's cool. Whereas now she's making money, she has access to all these men, so it's just different now. You have to come with something unique to really captivate the woman. And so
You
got
mind
yeah.
I was gonna say, because I think this is important, just really quickly.
Mhm.
So that uniqueness, I 100% agree. Do you think it's because most guys are just like robotic? Because I think if you're being authentic, everybody is unique, right? So if you're just being yourself, you're just naturally unique. Obviously, you're being the best expression of that, but I think that's how I would look at it.
Yeah, so I was actually going to say something similar. What I was going to say is, I think the problem that most men are facing is that they don't know that, what you just said, right? They don't know how powerful their unique, authentic self-expression is. They're more focused on what they think will attract a woman is, oh, I need to make more money, man, or my muscles aren't big enough, or got to become famous, right? Because that's what's being pushed as that's what gets the woman. They don't realize there's actually guys who, out of shape, broke, um, not famous at all, like, but getting women, you know. Some guy asked me a question today. He was like asking me like, yo, man, something about the size of his dick or something like that. And I was like, bro, does it like it. She's not even gonna see your dick until you get to a certain point. So that's not even relevant. Like, you just need to captivate her and stimulate her mind, because when she's feeling you, when you got her, when she's attracted to you, she's not so much focused on the physical. That's what I was trying to get him to understand. It's like, it's not they're not the way we are. Women are not the way we are, right? Like, they're emotional. So if you can captivate her and stimulate her emotionally, she's just seeing you through that emotional lens. And the way you captivate her and stimulate her is through your uniqueness, because you're going to be able to, what do girls say? Like, oh, I'm feeling something I never felt before with this guy. What is she saying? She's saying this guy's unique. He's different. He's doing something. He's delivering an experience that she's not getting from most guys, right? So if you're in this modern dating world, you're not gonna win if you focus on money, right? There's always gonna be a guy more money than you. Looks, same thing. Always gonna be a guy better looking. And then fame, same thing. Always gonna be a guy with more fame. But there's never gonna be a guy who is exactly the way you are, if you're able to express that. And so in order to express that, you're going to have to face, like the stuff we were talking about. You're gonna have to face your trauma and all that stuff, because all of that is blocking you from coming out. Your trauma is blocking you from coming out. The opinions of others is blocking you from coming out. The media, like, you just have to get familiar with you, right? And so right away, what came to mind is meditation. You got to sit down with yourself, and don't even like attach to the idea of meditation. Just sit down with yourself and become familiar with yourself. Like what thoughts are running in your head? What are you feeling in your body? What is your relationship with the woman? How are you seeing the woman? Like, do you really like her, or do you hate her? Like, some guys, they don't even realize they hate women. How are you going to get a woman if you hate her? You have to really face yourself. A lot of guys are overstimulating themselves, always listening to music, always watching TV, always doing something to distract themselves from themselves. You don't even know who you are. How are you going to attract the woman? How are you going to attract the woman? How are you going to lead the woman if you're not even, this might sound kind of weird, but you're not even attracted to yourself? Because if you can't even sit with yourself and spend time with yourself, it's basically what you're saying is you don't really like yourself. So how you gonna, that's your product. How you gonna give that product? How you gonna present that product and feel good about presenting that product if you're not okay with it? You know? So yeah, so the modern dating can be tough if you don't have the right mindset when it comes to dating, I would say. But if you have the right mindset and you know what you have and who you are and what you can do when you truly can express yourself authentically and embrace your uniqueness and just give that to the woman, you can do really well in today's modern dating. But you just have to get that, and you're probably gonna need some help because, like you said, it's easier said than done to really overcome your past trauma. You know, let go of your ego, like all these things. Like we're able to speak about them because we've went through it and we're doing it, right? But most people are not doing it, right? So you're gonna have to start where you are, but you can do it. You can do it, and you start seeing a difference right away. Like if today you went and decided to forgive your mom or forgive that girl that did you wrong or whatever, it would open you up. Like you would feel a weight come off your back, and you'd just be more open to women. You might even just get inspired. You know what? I want to go to the club tonight, or I want to hit the bar tonight, or I want to go out and say hi to some girls, right? Because you start to feel like a new energy in yourself, a new freedom, a new openness. So yeah, that's my thoughts on today's modern dating and how to deal with it.
Man. Yeah, the uniqueness aspect I think is really important. Really, really important aspect of today. You know, it's almost like you have to be way more unique than you would have like 30 years ago. Because, like you said, 30 years ago, you just had to have some good money. You had to, you know, you didn't really have to set yourself apart too much, other than maybe, you know, you just vibe with that girl or whatever, and she's like, oh, he had a kind heart, you know. So there is some aspect to uniqueness. Um, but I think today it's even more amplified because it's like your uniqueness has to be there so much that it's like whatever is going on in the girl's life, she could just see it right away. Like your energy when you walk in the room, right, is just so you and so different. You know, people aren't used to seeing that. That it's like even if the girl's like on OnlyFans, she's making a lot of money, dot 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 dot, whatever, right? It's like she'll look at you and she'll be like, whoa, you know, she can just see, she can feel something off of you, right? So I think your energy, right? You said you want her to feel something. I think when you work on yourself, your energy changes, and it's something you have to experience for yourself. But it's like when your energy changes, you're not even thinking about it, but you just experience the world acting differently towards you. And that's what happens with women is they get a feeling from you because they feel your energy it's attractive to them. Something though that I think is important to mention is when you and someone else, Bob Proctor says this, and I really love this example. When you and someone else are on the same frequency or vibration, right, in terms of energy, then that's called love, right? And so it's interesting. I look at it and I can see what he's talking about. Maybe not in those terms, but let's say like you and someone else have the similar values, and you guys come together in a relationship, right? And you're vibing together, right? That's called love, in my opinion. I mean, there are different definitions of love, but I think that's one way of like forming a good relationship. You can call that love. I look at love a little bit differently in general, but in that instance, love in a relationship at least, right? So I think that's important. Um, I'll kind of get into how I see the modern dating life from my perspective really quick. So from what I've experienced, what you said about like, girls going on OnlyFans, stuff like that. I definitely can see that. I think it also depends on the environment you're in, right? So the country you're in, shit like that. Obviously, Jordan, which is where my family's from, they're not like that. Girls aren't hopping on OnlyFans. It's still a little bit more traditional, but it is starting to go that way. Let's just put it that way, right? Saudi Arabia. I've actually lived in Saudi Arabia before. It was known as one of the strictest countries in the world, and now it's just like the opposite from what I hear. I haven't been back there in a while. So I actually, when I lived there, I was 14 till like 17, something like that, maybe like 13 to 17, right? So about 4 years. And I remember like I was still meeting girls. The first year I wasn't having any luck because I was 13. I would meet girls online, like I just whatever I had to do. But I remember I would actually meet girls there. The thing about it was a lot more secretive, right? Versus now, it's like way more open. So I think the world is moving towards this place of like hooking up, being single, not so much like getting in a serious relationship. That's kind of what I've noticed is starting to happen around the whole world a little bit more, which I mean it's fine, but it does cause problems, right, for someone who's looking to settle down or find the right girl for them and shit like that. A lot of things come in the way. There's so many things so many ways I can go with this topic, but I'll go into like social media really quickly as well. I think social media is huge when it comes to dating. Most of the girls I've actually had like a good time with dating and shit, I've just noticed they don't use social media as much. I don't know if that's by coincidence or chance. I personally don't think it is, because I think if a girl's getting validation from social media constantly, obviously they're on social media for not all of them, right? But I think if they're posting like bikini pictures, shit like that, they're clearly trying to get attention from other guys. Like, you're not doing that for yourself, let's be honest. Like, if you were doing, I'm not gonna post a fucking picture of myself in a Speedo. Maybe if that's how I grew up and that was my culture, right? I think some fireworks just went off, right? Did you do that, or did it just happen on its own?
Nah, it happened on its own. It might have got triggered by something you said or something. I don't know.
I think so. Or maybe someone, maybe like a Google employee is listening in on the call. He's like, man, that's just fire right there. He's just like, fireworks. Man. So because it was funny when I said it too. It was like a highlight moment and the fireworks went off. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, like, girls not posting that for herself. If I were decided to post a picture of myself in a Speedo, like, I'm not posting that for myself. I'm posting that to show off a little bit. And hey, you know what? It's fine. If you got a good body, show it off, right? But don't get your validation from that necessarily, right? Like, there's a lot of ways you can use Instagram and stuff like that to meet girls, but if you're getting your validation from that, and you're not using it as a tool, then that's also a problem. And I think that's what happens with a lot of girls is, they're constantly like on social media. They can't be present with you. They can't even, I think we're talking about guys being unique. I also believe women, like, they're not as unique either. Like, people in general, they're not being themselves, right? And part of that is social media. I think, they always have to put up this front, shit like that. They're constantly distracted from going inwardly. I like what you said about the, if you're on TV, you're not sitting with yourself, all this shit, right? And I'm going to be honest, like, I still do I still do like a lot of those things, watching TV shit like that. Um, but I also do it consciously. So I notice when I'm doing it to run away. I notice when I'm doing it when I have nothing to do, things like that. I think it's, it's human to want to do those things. So I don't necessarily, I'm not against it. My thing is, are you aware, right? Are you aware that that's what's going on? So, for example, I used to drink. I've done drugs before, and I remember I was getting like somewhat addicted to it. Right, I'm not going to say I was an addict or anything, but I was able to stop it like pretty quickly, because I felt I was aware and because I had that desire, right? And I'm not going to speak for anybody who has addictions, and say like it's easy or anything like that. I don't think uh, I'm not going to say I understand that person. Who knows? Um, but I would say like something that's helped me with stuff like that is just being aware, right? So what consciously going inwardly is a big part of my day, regardless of anything else. Seeing why I do things, what I really want to do, right? What are my motivations in life? Why is that my motivation? Like, is it because of we were talking about childhood trauma, but I think, and we are talking about religious programming. But I think another one that's important is culture. How does culture affect you, right? Which I think we've rushed over on like very slightly, but it's like, culture is so important. So you kind of have to get past all that programming, and I think that's what modern dating looks like today. Is like when you can get past that programming, you can move around all that, and you can find the right woman for you. Who, for the way I see it for myself, is someone who's out of that program too, right? Like if you're someone who knows yourself, you're unique, and you know, we're talking to a girl who's constantly using social media, doing all these things. She doesn't really have much going on in her life except like, following certain things to look good in front of people, whatever it is, right? Then you're not going to be happy in that relationship, right? Because the way I also see it is, it's almost like you're being robotic when you're not being yourself. You're being someone else. So it's kind of like you're dating a robot. Like that's a little bit how I see it, which sounds maybe a little bit harsh. Obviously, I still have empathy, but I see it as like if it's someone just running off of their program, they're not actually conscious of themselves. They're like a robot, In that sense, they're mechanical. Obviously, they're still human beings, so I don't mean it, but I mean it in the sense of like being mechanical. Like you press A, they do B, right? It's like so easy. Like, if you talk about a certain subject to someone, they're going to react, right? But someone who's really conscious, they might react, but they'll be conscious of it and they'll be able to change it for next time. So there's a continuous growth. There's an actual awareness there, right? There's like an actual being there looking back at you, not just like a program responding or reacting, right? Based off of like beliefs that that person's not conscious of, you know. I feel like there was something else I was gonna say. No, it's fine. It's fine. If it comes back to me, I'll mention it. So, yeah, I think that's a good topic. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, we'll just continue. So, what would you say right now is the best way to meet women in your experience? Right. So let's say someone they they got the shit down, right? They worked through some of their childhood trauma. They're feeling good around women in general. Um, they feel pretty confident, healthy, and they have a good mindset. Um, what do they do now? How do they go out and meet women from your experience?
Yeah, from my experience, the best way to meet women is through cold approach. Um, The reason I say that is because it just allows you to go straight. It's kind of like a direct path to what you want, which is why I like it. Because there's different ways, right? You could go on dating apps. You got social circle, you got networking, right? But with cold approach, it's like the thing I like about it is you can right now like say, you know what, I want to go meet a girl, and you can go to the mall, you can go to a grocery store, a department store, you can go to a club, you can go to anywhere where women would be. You could go to a park, you could literally go outside and walk around your neighborhood.
Mm,
And if you have the confidence and the grounded masculinity and the self-belief to just go up and talk to her, then you can, you have the power to create some options, create some opportunities. Like you could set up a date. I remember one of the days where I was like, man, this shit is really cool. I remember one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna go out and approach some women. And I went out, I think I went to like Target or Walmart or something like that. And within 5 minutes, I had a date set up. And I was like, bro, this is so cool, because I remember there was a time where, couldn't say hi to a girl. Like I could I remember like I had to start by talking to old ladies. I was so afraid to approach a girl. And now I could just go out 5 minutes and like, it's not like I'm just approaching her and and it's just happening by luck. Like I'm doing certain things. Okay, I'm approaching her. I'm holding eye contact. I'm grounded. So if you can just create this alignment of this grounded masculine man who's able to be present and express himself. And if you can do that consistently, you can create options that women are open to receive grounded masculine energy, especially if it's authentic and it's genuine, and she can feel it, because women are getting bombarded by all types of different men. So they can tell when they can see the difference, right?
mm,
So yeah, to answer the question, it's like, yeah, I think cold approach is such an amazing thing, because you can just go out any time of the day and meet a woman if you approach her with the right presence. Um, I'm not against any other way though. Like I think dating apps can be cool. I just see for most guys it can be challenging because there's so much competition. When I say competition, I mean like it's not your personality and your character is not what's so much focused on. Like for example, Tinder, it's more about your ability to set up your pictures, and
yep.
your bio can help, but like your pictures are huge.
Mhm.
So if you're not really good at taking pictures, or that's not really your cup of tea, then you're going to struggle, right? But with cold approach, you can go out there and just put your character out there. You can put your personality out there. You're not going to get every girl, but the right girl is going to be like, damn, I like this guy, and then boom, you're in, right? So yeah, and then you got social circle. Social circle can be cool, but if you have a lot of insecurities, you're uncalibrated, etc., you can kind of fuck that up. Like that's been my experience,
Mm,
right? And I mean, what if you don't have a social circle? Then what, right? So that's the thing I like about cold approach. Like, and it removes all the excuses. That's why I like it.
mm,
Dating app, you could be like, oh, well, I don't have good pictures. Social circle, you'd be like, I don't have a social circle, right? But cold approach is just like, all right, then get your ass out there and go talk to some girls, then. And if
mm,
you don't do that, that's really on you. Like that's really you just saying, damn, I'm afraid to do it, or you would just have to find some excuse. But the girls are out there, like you can go and meet them if you have that confidence to do it. So
mm. Yeah, I I have a little bit of a different approach,
mhm.
right? I think I've seen you do a cold approach, and I can tell you enjoy it a lot. So I think that's also a reason why it's your like main method to meeting women. I think it's just very enjoyable for you, right? And it's also very effective, right? So I think looking at it, what I would say, okay, well, what's a good way to meet women? I think cold approach is one of the best ways to meet the women that you want to meet, right? Because the rest you're just kind of leaving up to luck a little bit, right? But I also think with cold approach, uh, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, using your intuition is important, right? Um, so it's not just like I've seen guys do cold approach and they'll fucking approach like any fucking girl, like 50 girls, shit like that. Like they'll just approach like crazy. They're not really using their intuition. They're just like, okay, she looks hot or she looks good or whatever it is. So instead of being like, do I feel something like an energy that about her that I like that I want to go approach? And that happens because guys are not present with themselves. Right? So they're not even present in the moment. They're just like thinking, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. They're just constantly moving from one thing to the next. Right? Versus, you mentioned grounded masculinity. We'll talk about what that is in a little bit, but just like briefly, it's being the way I see it is like being very present in the moment, and being non-reactive to your environment. That's the way I would see it. Um, yeah, I mean that's a simple way of putting it. We'll get in more detail, but pretty much, yeah, that's important, right? You need that aspect of you being grounded in the moment, for you to be able to tell like which girls to approach. So the way I would look at it is like I've done all through. I've done so cold approach, warm approach, and dating. Right. So cold approach is like when you just approach someone randomly on the street. Nothing, no signs or signals from her to approach, in the sense of like her looking at you or saying hi or whatever it is. Or warm approach. So warm approach can be social circle, right? I kind of would count that as social circle a little bit. Maybe I'll do like social circle and warm approach a little bit differently. Warm approach is, she's looking at you. She's fucking, definitely she wants you to approach her pretty much. Like there's a 70% chance she wants you to approach her. Sometimes maybe it's off. Maybe sometimes it's unconscious. You approach and maybe it doesn't go the way you want or whatever. But which I know you've told me some funny stories about that. But then you have like social circle. So social circle, I'm actually, I would say that that's my bread and butter. Like social circle is so easy for me. I don't know why, but like if you put me in a social circle, I think it makes it so much easier too because uh, the the girls, they feel comfortable that their friend or whatever it is, so they're just like way more open to like getting with you or whatever it is. My experience. I think also my approach in general is laid back. So if you put me in like a fucking place of like social circle, it's all about being laid back and letting it come to you. And that's what I like about warm approach is like I don't want to go out there and like have to think about it. I will still do cold approach if the right girl comes along, right? But most of the time I've noticed naturally I lean more towards warm approach and towards social circle when I'm in that place, and it just naturally happens, right? And then the last thing is dating apps. I've had really good success off of dating apps, to be honest. I had some good pictures, so that makes that helps, right? It's like what you said, you're not focusing on your character, whereas everything else you are focusing on your character, right? It's just in a different context. So with dating apps, well, at least when you match, I think you can make it in a way where you can focus on your character, right? Like you can still be, someone who is asking questions, is curious, things like that. But you also have to realize, why is that girl on the dating app, right? And let's be honest, most of the time they're just trying to fuck, right? Most of the time, my experience, um, they're not there to date, right? Or maybe they want to meet a guy they can consistently have sex with, or there's different reasons. But if you're trying to date seriously, you can. And if that's the vehicle you want to use, you can. But you have to see that you're going to sift through like a lot of different girls till you find like a girl that'll match. So I think that might work with time, patience. It's just a numbers game. You might run into that, but if you really want to get your life going, I think what Trey was saying about cold approach, just fucking go after it, right? Then at that point you don't really have an excuse, right? So it's interesting. Let me see. Is there anything? Uh, since we were on the topic, I kind of was thinking maybe we could branch off really quickly and just talk about since we were talking about um what do you think about looks and money when it comes to dating? Because I think that's important, right? How much does that help someone? And how does someone overcome those beliefs if they don't have looks or money? In my case, I'm going to be honest, I've been broke as fuck before, and I've actually had girls pay for me, right? And they like have done it like happily. It's not like they were like, and it's not like I was taking advantage of them, but it's just like they literally had more money than me. They were like more successful, and so they paid because I was fucking broke. So I've had experiences where that hasn't really come in the way. If anything, it was like the opposite. My vulnerability with that actually helped me find the right girl who had more money. And then looks, I mean, looks is subjective, right? But I will say, like, I've seen guys who don't necessarily look conventionally attractive in terms of looks, like body, shit like that, and they've been successful with women. So, and like attractive women. So I'll say like looks isn't a factor either. But I'm just curious, what would you say to someone who that's a problem for them and things like that?
Yeah, so um I've been blessed to have some good relationships with men who were really good looking and or had a lot of money, right? And I've also had clients who were really good looking and or had a lot of money. And I've seen that um whether they had a lot of money or really good looks, it didn't there's still guys who are really good looking who are struggling with women, and there's still guys who have a lot of money who struggle with women, right? Like I had a friend who he was a pretty boy. Like girls would approach him and compliment him like that. That's not like a something that happens to the average guy, right? But um he was afraid to pull the trigger. He was afraid to move things forward, so nothing would happen. um so what I saw with that is looks can grab attention. Like there's ways to grab attention, right? Looks can grab attention, money can grab attention. But it doesn't mean that it's going to keep that attention. It doesn't mean it's going to create that real attraction, that real raw sexual attraction. Um, looks and money doesn't do that. It's just, if anything, what I've seen is it just attracts a certain type of woman who will try to who may be superficial, and it may try to use you for that, right? So for example, a guy with a lot of money, you may attract women who are looking for a guy to pay for meals, pay for things, whatever. Are they really attracted to that guy? I don't think so. I think they're just like, okay, I could use this guy, to get to a certain point or whatever, and then go off,
Yeah.
go off and to the guy I'm actually attracted to, or behind his back, I'm fucking the guy I'm actually attracted to. Like, so they're not really attracted to him. They're just using him for his money. That's just the blunt truth. With looks, what I notice is that you can be used for your looks too. Like the girl could be like, okay, I'm not getting the guy I want right now, but this guy, he's kind of cute, whatever. It's just not really what's attracting her.
Yeah.
It's just like a superficial thing. So if you want that real attraction, it's an energy thing. It's you're stimulating her mind, which leads to her emotions. That's how I see it.
Mhm.
Right. So that's like where that real attraction comes from. Anything else, like the looks, money, and status, if the woman is attracted to you for that, it's not real attraction. She's using you.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So that's been my experience. Like I'm speaking off of experience, even with myself. Like when I was in my best physical shape, like physically, um, I wasn't really getting any girls because my confidence wasn't there, my masculinity wasn't there, my character was off, I was incongruent, right? So that wasn't it, right? Because if it was looks, then when I had my super perfect six pack and all that stuff, I should have had all the girls, but I didn't. And then there was a time where I was making a lot of money, I remember. And I remember I was going out and cold approaching and stuff, and I was like, this is funny because I have all this money and stuff, but like, where's all the girls that they're supposedly I was supposed to get? Like I still had to go and like create attraction, right? And then thankfully I was conscious enough to know like if a girl was into me because of my money or not, right? So I didn't no girl could like come from my money because I could see that right away. So because I was able to see that, I just wasn't getting any girls. Until I improve my confidence and learn how to express myself, etc. So looks, money, status, they can help. Those should be like things that are there to kind of like, oh, he's also good looking, that's cool, or yeah, he has some money too, that's cool, or what, right? But that's not what's really going to turn her on, like stimulate her and make her like fall in love and feel like, no, that's not it. That's just superficial things that can kind of help, and it's good to like have some money or whatever and look decent or whatever, but that's not really what turns a woman on.
Yeah, 100%. Like looks, money. I like that you added status, right? Because money, status, but money and status can be different for sure. Status is like how like your social status in a certain social circle or group or whatever it is, or in general, it can be in general, fame, whatever it is. But looking at it, yeah, I think most guys might use that as a crutch instead of actually creating raw attraction, right? Which I like that you mentioned that raw attraction can include that, but it's not that. Right? It's separate from that, right? Because some guys will talk about like, no, you need money. Like, I think you need money. You definitely do not need money to create attraction. That's something I realized when I was fucking like broke as fuck. Like, you do not need money at all when it comes to creating attraction. You you need money if you want to take the girl out on a date, and let's say she's not wealthy or anything like that, or she doesn't, you obviously, it depends on how you want to be, but I wouldn't want to be I wouldn't want my girl to spend money on me like that. I'm not really looking for a sugar mama, so I would prefer to spend money on my girl. That's just my preference. Everyone can be different, right? But I don't mind every now and then, like depending on the girl, and if I like a girl a lot and I'm broke, fuck it, whatever. I want to have a good experience. So man, I was gonna say, oh yeah, so you were talking about like you need to simulate her mind, right? Something that I noticed is a lot of guys think like, okay, how do I stimulate her mind? Like, I need to create tension. I need to do a lot of things, and it's like, well, I think if you just naturally do if you just do what we were talking about, it naturally happens. So if you look up all the childhood bullshit, if you're not afraid of rejection, if you're being honest and authentic, then naturally I think all those things are going to happen, right? Like, she's going to be stimulated by, you said, the energy as well, right? Stimulate her mind and her body, technically. I know that's what you meant, like by the energy aspect of it. It's like, because attraction happens in the body, right? Essentially, right? But it can be through the mind, the conversation, in a sense, right? So it's kind of like looking at it like you don't need to do anything other than like work on yourself or work with yourself and be authentic and honest, and if you just follow that, that does take conscious action. So it's not like it doesn't take conscious action, and it's not like in the middle of you talking to a girl. Let's say that you're feeling like you want to say something, but you're a little resistant to it, but you're like, oh fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna say it, right? That's conscious action still. So it's not that you're not taking conscious action, but you need to realize that conscious action comes from an intuitive place, right? Of like what you feel you want to say, and if you just follow that flow, right, then naturally, she's gonna get stimulated. So looking at that, I think that's important. Um, Okay, so we don't have much time. Do you are you like absolutely um like do you have anything to do after uh the call that's like very, very important? Or could we like extend it for like 15 minutes? Would it be possible or
Yeah, let me see. Because I mean, I do have something to do, but let me see.
okay. Just because I want to get in the intuition, getting out of your head, and then a little bit about how grounded masculinity affects attraction. So maybe we could go over the topics really quick. But if we get 15 minutes, that would be
Yeah, we got the 15 minutes.
okay. Sweet. So in that case, um, how would you use your intuition when it comes to cold approach? Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so intuition when it comes to cold approach. So
Or in general.
yeah, when it comes to cold approach or like being out like at a party or a club or just living life, right? You don't really like when I say cold approach, it's not like you approach every single girl you see, it's more about like you're in a you're in a certain vibe and then you see a girl and like you're like, damn, like I want to see what's up, like I want to go talk to her. There's times when I'll see a girl and she'll look good and I'm just like, oh, that's cool, she looks good, and that's it. But then there's certain times when I'm like, yo, I really want to talk to her. To me, the intuition is like that knowingness when like there's something in you that's like, yo, I really want to talk to her. It's not like a need. It's just like it feels like an inspiration, like you're inspired to talk to her. Like there may be something there that could benefit both of your lives. You know, that's how I see it. And because I've done code approach so much, like I've seen like you can have some really amazing connections or you can have some really amazing experiences, but you don't know until you like approach her. Like you don't know for sure until you approach her. Because I've also had like, because you talk about warm approaches, I've had like where the girl is like looking at me or whatever, and it seems like she's interested, and I and then I approach her, and she's like basically like, yo, don't talk to me, or sorry, I'm not interested, or like it basically the opposite of what it seemed like, because she seemed like she was inviting my approach.
So do you mind if I say something really quick?
Go ahead.
I've heard from certain guys, which is interesting, that those girls, like, they'll actually be into it, but they'll just like reject themselves, and then after that they'll be like, "Why the fuck did I do that?" Right? So it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe it could be something like that. Unconsciously, their body wants it, and then when you approach, then they're like the complete opposite because they have their own trauma and their own shit and whatever, and it just comes up and it looks like she's completely like walling off. Like one of my friends was telling me that uh, he was talking to a girl and she's like, I don't know why, but like she's like, whenever I get approached by guys that I find attractive, she's like, I always like tell them basically like she gets like mean with them or something. And so I thought it was interesting. Maybe not mean, but like she basically like rejects them flat out. And she's like, I really want them to keep on talking to me, but I don't know. She's like, it just happens. So I thought it was really interesting. But yeah, sorry, I just wanted to mention that really quickly because that could be the case sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm sure sometimes that is what it is, and sometimes it could actually be you. Um, so you could be approaching her in a way that is not congruent with the what she was seeing in you, or what was coming across before the approach. So that so your example, I can see that, and I've had I've spoken to girls who like told me like they do that, right? Like even what's a good example? The movie Snow White and the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
There's a scene in there where Snow White is singing and she's like, I'm wishing for my prince to come, blah blah blah. Like she basically saying, I can't wait for my prince to come. And then the prince comes and she runs. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's in the Snow White movie. I was like, yo, there's actually something in the Disney movie that's actually true. But yeah, like she's singing, like, I want my prince, I'm wishing, like, for like, and then the prince comes, he actually starts singing too. He's like, I'm here, or something like that. And then she sees him and she takes off. And that, yeah, like that's a real thing. Like the girl, she can get nervous. She can get, oh shit, this is really happening. Oh, he actually approached. And another part to it, that's what I'm saying. It could be the guy, like maybe the guy's not very grounded. So like she's just feeling too much. There's too much feeling, like she doesn't know how to control it, and the guy's not grounding it out. So it's just, that can happen too.
He's like putting it on her basically.
Yeah. And I know from experience, like sometimes, yeah, like she genuinely authentically could be interested in you, and then let's say you approach and you're not being genuine, for example. Right? Like you're putting like you should, all right, I'm gonna be cool now or whatever. That could throw off the whole vibe. So yeah, the way I see it, man, is as a man, you just have to take, like, if you feel like doing something, just do it, and whether it works out or not, for me personally, whether it works out or not, I always feel good when I'm like, I did that shit though. I wanted to do it and I did it. And sometimes the experience was maybe for you to just let go of the outcome. Maybe that was what you were supposed to learn, and that this is like a higher perspective. But yes, that could be it. Maybe you were kind of maybe lately you've been like pedestalizing women, and like that experience was for it to show you like, yo, why are you pedestalizing them? Like, just enjoy your ability to be masculine and approach the woman when you want, but why are you so attached to the outcome? Maybe that might be the lesson. So I just focus on doing what feels right, and whatever. There's this concept called amor fati. I love my fate. So whatever the universe, whatever God gives me, I'm happy with it, right? Like I did it. I've been cold approaching recently, and like sometimes I'll approach a girl and she'll be like, oh, I'm not interested, I have a boyfriend. But I'm happy that I approached. I was like, yo, I'm a fucking man. Like there's a lot of guys who would have just found an excuse, and I was like, I approached, and this is going to carry on to all areas of my life. When I want to do something, I do it. I'm not going to hesitate. Whether it goes my way or not, that's fine. Sometimes it's going to go my way. But if I don't approach, it's definitely not going to go my way. Nothing's going to happen. So, yeah, I think the intuition is just trusting yourself and not thinking that just because you didn't get the girl that you were wrong for approaching. That's the point I'm trying to make here too. It's like, because you can trust your intuition and maybe it doesn't go your way, and then you be like, oh man, my intuition doesn't work. Fuck that. But no, maybe the lesson was for you to just be a fucking man and approach and not give a fuck about the outcome.
Exactly.
And open yourself up to just having that momentum of being the type of man that approaches. And then when the right girl you approach, and boom. So yeah, trusting your intuition to me just means, when you have that knowingness in you that is inspired to approach, just go for it. Don't overthink it. Like, don't attach to the outcome. That's what fucks us up, because then we're gonna start, okay, all right, I'm about to approach her, but hold on, let me wait. Oh no, these people are watching. Or no, I don't know. Wait, what should I say? The attachment to the outcome is what creates all of that. But if you just say, you know what, that girl looks good. Let me see what's up. And that's it. And then you just go. Now
Mm, wow.
you're opening yourself up to possibility, and you're growing your character, and you're learning how to not be attached to you. You're getting so much benefit out of the approach. It's more than just about the woman. I think that's like something I learned over the years, is that cold approach and approaching women and interacting with women. It's not just about the woman. It's about you freeing yourself to just be able to express yourself. You being the type of man who can express himself, who can go in and talk to the girl, who can get the girl and not get the girl, and it's okay. Who can, get on with his life. Who can approach this girl and then it doesn't work with her. Oh, okay, you know what? She's cute too. Maybe I want to approach her. Don't be the guy who overthinks, and also don't be the guy who approaches and then it doesn't go their way, and then you start doubting yourself. Like, just accept life in its entirety. That's a man should be able to accept life and handle life and everything life gives you, and learn to appreciate it and be grateful for the experience of life. The no is what makes the yes valuable, right? If every girl said yes, some guys would say, oh man, I would love that, but it would become normalized. Like, it would become like, the value of yes would lose its value over time if there was no. So kind of just see it logically. A man's supposed to be able to see things logically and rationally. Like, if every girl said yes, it would kill the spirit of the game, man. It would kill the spirit of the challenge. So be okay with yes, be okay with no, and just trust yourself to just take action.
It's good insight. Yeah. In the middle of that, by the way, I was getting excited to go approach. So I appreciate it. um, Now, honestly, bro, I love the way you talk about cold approach. Like, I can tell you're very passionate about it, and like I can feel that, and that actually it makes me think about, like, well, fuck, man, like your perspectives. Honestly, it gets me thinking about, like, oh, maybe I should try cold approaching, like, more, right? Because like I said, my approach is more laid back. But I think people evolve, and I think recently I've been a little bit evolving a little bit more and seeing, well, it also depends on my perspective on cold approach. Why am I doing it, right? So if I'm doing it and I'm looking at it from the perspective that you're talking about, which is there's freedom in it, right? Then I'm going to be more likely to want to do it. So for me, I think that's definitely an important part of it. But also, you don't want to just approach anybody, right? So I think your intuition tells you, and there kind of has to be a reason why you want to do it. Like, it has, uh, it's I think that reason has to be something that resonates with your soul, right? So I can tell you cold approach from a place that resonates with your soul. So that's why I think, like, it's probably much easier for you to approach as well than, like, maybe another guy, and that's probably why you prefer the cold approach, because, like, it really feels like connected to you, right? So I think if someone's looking at it from the perspective of, like, why would I cold approach? Why would I want to, like? And it might be, I want to overcome my anxiety. Like, someone might say that, right? Which for me, cold approach definitely helped me overcome a lot of anxiety, for sure, right? So I think that's important. Going into intuition, though, uh, I would say intuition is something that comes naturally. So the whole point is you still want to be natural with it, which is why we're saying, don't just approach anybody. But it's like, you feel attraction and you're like, fuck it, let me go for it. And then you don't resist whatever comes up. So being detached, being out of, not being in your head. So we'll talk about that really quickly. We don't have as much time, but we'll talk about getting out of your head. So let me just finish up the intuition aspect. So I like what you said about the no to yes. Like, the no's, right, make it more valuable when you get the yes. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I think I like that perspective you have, and I like that it resonates with you. And I just like your way of thinking around it. Right. So it's like you developed a way of thinking which gets you to enjoy cold approach and all these things. But most guys, their way of thinking about cold approach, which is usually unconscious, and their way of feeling around cold approach, it's it creates resistance, right? But with like that mindset, the proper mindset, um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense why you would want to continue to approach, right? So the no to yes, I like that. I would say my version of that is looking at it. Um, uh, I've heard this before. It's like if you knew that, let's say, there's 24 no's before you got to $1 billion. You had to go through 24 no's. Every no that you got, you'd be like happy as fuck, right? So if you look at dating as a numbers game, right, in the sense of like everyone has like a certain number that if they hit, they're gonna get a result, right? You talk about this a lot as well. It's like if you just fucking take action, even if you're not using all this shit, you're gonna hit something if you just keep taking action, right? It's true. um, might not be the most efficient way, but it's still going to happen. So, but if you just look at it from the numbers perspective, I think in sales it's called the law of averages. It's basically like for every 100 people that you speak to, maybe you'll get like 1 or 2 sales, whatever. So if you look at it with women the same way, it's like for every like 50 women that I speak to, I'm gonna meet that one girl that I really vibe with, right? Something like that, whatever it is, or like a girl that I vibe with that I want to go on a date with, right? Whatever. And maybe if you look at it in terms of like, I mean, I'm saying throwing huge numbers out here for some guys. If we're talking about cold approach, for some guys, if it's social circle shit like that, they don't need to do any of that. It just comes to them. It's very easy. So I don't want anyone to get in their head about it, right? It's just like I'm throwing out random numbers. Like we could literally say out of 10 people. Like for me, it's like 1 out of 5 girls that I meet because I'm using my, maybe even 2 or 3 out of 5, right? Because I'm using my intuition as well, right? So intuition can take that number down a lot more. But I'm just saying in general, right? There's like a law of averages to it. So if you just look at it as like, if I just keep on approaching, then I'm going to meet, instead of like $1 billion, you're just like, I'll meet a girl that I'm really interested in, that I vibe with, that is just like a good energy back and forth. It'll happen, right? But if someone's looking at the present moment, they're not able to have faith, right? You want to be in the present moment, but you also want to have faith that I'm gonna meet the girl that I want to meet. If you don't have that, going on, it's not gonna be easy. You're not gonna be excited, and then obviously if you're not in a good energy, you're not gonna attract the girl you want. So you need the proper mindset, the proper way of thinking, proper way of feeling, beliefs to be able to move into that. And so I think a perspective is like knowing, right? You said knowing, which is an equivalent to faith, right? Because that's how I look at faith. I don't look at faith as like blind faith. I look at it as knowing. So I prefer that word actually. So knowing that if you just approach girls and you keep on doing that, you're gonna meet a girl. You're going to get through the process. It's impossible not to, right? It's literally fucking impossible. If you get 1% better every day, you're gonna get to a result you want. Yes, you are working with what you have. So let's say, someone's not as good looking. Man, I have so many fucking examples as well in terms of people who haven't been good looking and they've gotten women, but like what you said about that raw attraction is definitely there. You can tell. You don't know why it's there, but you can tell she's like attracted to him, right? Man, I want to talk about an example. Maybe we'll talk about later, but we have 4 minutes. Fuck, 3 minutes. So why don't we just talk about? We have 2 topics we could talk about. 3. So okay, so 3, but let's see which one's the most important. I think it's probably getting out of your head. So getting out of your head with women, what it is to be grounded masculine and how that affects attraction. So maybe like grounded masculinity, like body language, energy, shit like that. And then the last one's how to set up an enjoyable dating life. So if you want to go really quickly through one of those, and then we can just finish up the call. Maybe we can do another call on the topic later and go further.
Yeah, I think getting out of your head is probably uh the most valuable one, just based on the questions I've been receiving lately from guys. So getting out of your head, if I could simplify that, I would say it's basically when you see your thoughts coming up, um, you stop identifying with them or giving them attention or energy. Because it seems like guys think you get to this point where like there's no thoughts in your head. Like you get to this point in life where you just don't no longer have any thoughts and you're just perfect and everything just goes amazingly. I don't know if that's something, I don't know if that's part of the human experience, but I would say what I do know is possible is you can get to a point where you're just not so invested in your thoughts in general. Right. So I think when you're in your head, it's because you're like your thoughts are like your God, like, oh, whatever thought comes up, you're like, man, I don't know if she's gonna like me, or I don't know how I should do this. Or it's like you're making it too serious. You're
Mhm.
taking your thoughts too seriously, and you're not seeing them as just like these temporary things that just pop up and you can go with them or not, but it's just there. Right. So for me, I get out of my head by just not identifying with my thoughts. I just observe them like, okay, that's cool thought. I don't judge them. I don't say this thought's good or bad. I just don't put any invest any energy or attention into my thoughts. I just get relaxed. I, take a deep breath. I feel my body. And then whatever it is I want to do, I just do it. Um,
Mm.
that's how I deal with my, getting in my, or the thoughts in my head, or when I get in my head, I just realize that I'm getting too serious about my thoughts and I start observing them. I guess one term you could use is letting them go. But even that, like you can kind of get attached to the idea of letting them go. Like, am I letting them go? Like, so I just observe them. I just watch them and don't take them seriously. And then whatever I want to do, I just do it. So in the context of code approach, right? Like yesterday, and I catch it quickly because yesterday I saw a girl, she was attractive, and I was about to go in my head, oh, she looks good, and how should I approach her? Blah blah. And I was like, fuck it, go. I just go. Like you just go into your action. Like
Mm.
be in the moment. Like the best way to deal with your thoughts is action. I'm gonna be real.
Mm.
And it depends on the situation, right? Because some situations it's not a situation where it's about taking action. So then in those situations, I would say just observe the thought and don't invest energy in it. And feel your body too. Like feel your body. Like get into your body. Feel your uh feel your feet, feel your cock, feel your heart, feel your whole body, and just know you're there. Like you're not just your head. Um and then,
Absolutely.
yeah, and then do the action, right? So I'm deep, like I'm out cold approaching, so I'm really like living this, right? There's many times I could go in my head and I just choose not to, right?
Mm.
I just choose to be present. So, and choosing to be present is basically you don't put attention on your thoughts. You're just okay with them. It's okay. Whatever thought, even if the thought says, that girl's gonna say you're a fucking retard, if like any thought, I'm just like, whatever, who gives a fuck? You know what? I'm gonna
Love.
I'm gonna give y'all something. And shout out to Arash, AZD. Okay. I learned this way of speaking from him. He will just call the thought the devil. Why does he call the thought the devil? Right? It's not really the devil, but why does he call it the devil? Because it gets you out of the present moment. Right? And the present moment is heaven. Right? So to me, anything that's getting you out of the present moment, if you just call it the devil, then you just won't want to associate with it, because if you're a good guy, you don't want to associate with the devil, right? So just be like, yo, that's the devil talking. The God wants me to be present and he wants me to live my life. Right. So just be present and live your life. If you want to approach the girl, approach her. If you don't want to approach her, don't approach her. Like do what feels natural, not what you think you should do. Just do what feels natural, right? So whatever you want to do. And if you're someone who has been in your head for a long time, it's gonna be challenging. So like it's not gonna be easy at first. Like just know that. But with practice, you can become more present. It's a skill. You can the ability to be present is something you can develop as a skill. So you just practice it. Okay, I'm in my head. No, don't identify my thoughts. Just be here now. And just if I want to just stand here, I can stand here. If I want to approach, I can approach. Like you just do what feels natural, and you just practice doing that. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at just being present. So that's how I deal with my thoughts and getting in my head.
I didn't know the devil approach, but I like that. Funnily enough, I actually have the book Outwitting the Devil here on my desk. And I've been reading it, and it's basically doesn't directly say that, but basically any thoughts, he calls it drifting, that take you away from basically faith, trust, love, whatever it is. He has an interesting perspective about love in the book, but basically the devil in the book, he's interviewing the devil. For anyone who doesn't know the book Outwitting the Devil, it's written by the same author who wrote Think and Grow Rich, and he basically is interviewing the devil in the book. He is not saying it's the actual devil, but he says you can interpret it whatever way you want, and it's really cool, like a really cool back and forth between him and the devil. And the devil's basically like, I use all these tools, propaganda, whatever, but drifting. He's like, if I get control over someone's mind, basically through drifting, then I get them to be on my side, whatever. So I think it's similar, and I agree. It's like when you allow yourself to drift in your mind, which is when you're in your head, you're caught up in, you're not being present, right? Because you're just drifting in your mind, right? Then it's like something else is taking over you entirely, right? So one of the things he says, one of the most important things in the book, he says, is actually definiteness of purpose. He says that'll take you away from drifting if you know what you want to do, right? So that'll also get you out of your head too. I think being present in the moment with the definiteness of purpose or intention, right? I'll just say really quickly, we went a little bit over, but like whatever. Just like 1 minute. Basically, I'll just say really quickly, for me, getting out of my head, meditation has been a very big aspect to it. But it's never something you force, right? Because the more you try to force yourself to get out of your head, the more you get back in your head. But it's like, it's what you said, it's literally just observe, right? So if you can learn to find that stillness within you just by observing from that place, you can take action, right? And when you find that stillness, you can actually listen to your actual inner voice, your actual feeling. And so let me see. So we were going to, so we're talking about, first of all, letting shit go. So let's say you want to use your intuition. You can't use your intuition if you're in your head, right? You got to, first of all, let go of all the bullshit so you can find more of a stillness, a presence. And then from that place, you'll start to get better at feeling your intuition. So a big thing is detachment, right? Letting go of your emotions too. So being in the present moment is definitely your thoughts, and it's being in your body. But it's like, when you're in your body, can you relax into your body? Can you relax your muscles? Can you relax into the moment? Right. I'm trying to find something that's helped me. Something that I find is really good is flow. This aspect of whatever moment you're in, just fucking flow with it, man. Like, learn to be okay with if it doesn't go your way. And if let's say something comes up when it doesn't go your way emotionally, you feel hurt, rejected, whatever it is, go into that, let that go, process it, right? And you'll naturally start to get more and more present into the moment. But it's a process, right? And it's possible. I'll just say some good books that I think helped me. So Letting Go is a really good book. And then Power of Now is really good. But when you read those books, read it and see how you can apply it in your life. Don't just read it as like whatever. See, like, how can I genuinely apply this, right? And find your own way of doing things. That's what's important. I think with with these techniques or whatever, it doesn't matter if you do the fucking technique. You do the technique, it doesn't work. Okay, what's the point of doing it? So you can adjust according to you. The important thing is you find a system that works for you, right? And there's always a system that works for you, right? Of getting out of your head, right? So for some people, it's thinking about thought is the devil. For some people, it's just getting in their body. For me, that's what it is. For me, it's feeling the earth and the ground and all the tension falling through the ground. And then also feeling the stability of the ground. So I feel safe in the moment. I can be more present in the moment. But yeah, brother, I appreciate you. We went a little over time, so we'll figure something out about that. I appreciate you staying on the call and giving some fucking great value at the end too. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this detachment and grounded masculinity. Do another video on it. We'll see. Awesome. If you want to stop recording, you can. Okay. Take care, guys.